What's going on? It's your boy DameSmiff, and this evening I'm going to talk with you guys really quickly about getting to the point with your audience and how it's important to be effective when you're communicating and to be proficient in the language you're using. So, this is going to be a topic usually for my musicians, and it's going to be very, very helpful for my younger musicians who plan on getting in front of an audience that have an actual message they would like to communicate. So, if you would like content like this, make sure you hit the like button so that way others can find this video, and also subscribe so that way you can find the latest videos I make. So, getting to the point and why is it important? So, if you ever watch like the news or podcasts or anything like that, even movies, they try to give you some kind of setup or some kind of premise before they kind of explain or show you their presentation, right? And the point behind that is to get you kind of geared up for what's about to happen. I do it a lot. I essentially just now did it where I kind of explain the topic and then what we're going to talk about. And in some cases, people will tell you how they're going to talk about it, maybe break down the different topics and subsections and categories, right? But the issue that I've noticed that is more common amongst, let's say, my peers and other entertainers is that when it's time for them to speak, it's very difficult for them to think completely about the thought they would like to expound upon or share with the audience. So it doesn't matter the topic. I don't care about the topic. The issue is knowing how to communicate the thing you want to say. So this is going to take practice. There's nothing I could ever tell you that you're going to shut this video off and just master. It takes practice. And I'll point out one of the issues. And the easiest issue you will come across is people saying, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about. You ever hear that a lot? Like you usually hear with men, especially men who claim to be street or urban or comfortable or hip or whatever words they want to use. It's dumb. But basically, they're compensating for their lack of vocabulary or their lack of ability to efficiently think about what they're trying to say completely. So, all that really is just you not understanding what you want to say before it comes out of your head. And that usually comes from you trying to react quickly in a conversation or to feel cool to somebody or something like that. But if you take the time to think about how your sentence is said and communicated, then you can effectively communicate with others. So try to avoid using uhs, you know what I'm sayings, or you know what I means, or you know what I'm talking about, because we don't, because you didn't say it. And that's the premise of this video. So if you ever find yourself doing that, then the best way to do it is to either slow down how you're talking just slightly, not too much where you forget the next word, but slow down slightly so that way you can develop a flow within your sentence, just like I did there. And as you get better, you can speed up. And of course, if you know what you're talking about, you can get even better. And that's usually a skill you usually see with like salesmen or people who do public speaking a lot more often. They'll have kind of like a script or like a kind of like a catch or a hook that they can repeat very quickly and accurately because they just do it over and over again. And another tip that I can give you guys if you're struggling with this is to record yourself talking and play it back, and honestly play it in front of others. So that way you can truly and honestly see the reactions you get from how you talk. There are a lot of people that are in their 20s, in their early 20s, maybe late teens, especially 30s, where they think you're going to kind of assume the next 6 or 7 words in their sentence based on the context of the conversation, which does not work. It doesn't work ever. And it doesn't work in music either. It doesn't work in entertainment. You have to be a complete thought if you want people to completely understand your thoughts as you're communicating them. So I'll give you an example. Do you know a boy or man or boyfriend? I know ladies do understand this a lot, but do you know men that when they communicate, they walk into a room, let's say they're ordering food at a restaurant, they're walking up to the fast food cashier. And then when they walk up there, they look at the menu and they take a second and they say, "Hi, how are you? How may I take your order?" And the guy's response is, let me see, can I get let me try, see that kind of thought process we think is normal. We think that's common and we think that's kind of like par for the course. The issue is that is slow. It's slowing things down. They are not prepared to speak. They are not ready to give an answer. And if they are ready to give an answer, they're not equipped to do it efficiently, right? And so that kind of speech, that kind of way of talking kind of bleeds into your life, into your business, into your, let's say if you want to be a musician, it bleeds into how you rap, it bleeds into how you sing. You only think like maybe the first 10% of an idea before you actually will commit any more energy to the completion of the idea. And so for many of you watching this, you might think, oh, that's nothing. That's just, that's just how you're just normal. You just got to get it right, right? Which is fine to think that way. But the issue that comes along with thinking that way is, when do you do better? At what point do you expect yourself to speak proficiently, accurately, and efficiently, so that way people can understand exactly what you're saying, how you want to say it? Now, we're not necessarily talking about how they feel about what you're saying, but they need to comprehend and understand what you're saying. It's very hard to do that if you're a person that prefers to speak with ums, uhs, and does, and talking about, you know what I'm saying, yeah, I mean, and stuff like that, because no, we do not know what you mean. And I'm making that as a joke just to say that if you complete your sentences as you speak, you kind of will not find a need to say ums, uhs, you know what I'm saying? You don't really have a use for that, right? And then on the other hand, and I'll finish with this, is vulgarity. A lot of people who really don't have a broadened vocabulary, they will wind up just using curse words or cussing in general. And these are just fluffer words. They don't make you sound cooler. They don't make you sound better. You hear it a lot in rap and hip hop and things like that, where rappers start just using cuss words to kind of like, well, at least what they think is doing, accentuating their lyrics, but it's not. It's actually just adding space, fluff, unnecessary syllables to a sentence, right? And you can kind of get a kind of taste on how people like to use curse words depending on their personality and their characteristics. Where some people, they'll cuss for certain reasons, or maybe a certain emotion or something excites them or angers them, right? But then there's other people who just simply cannot communicate without these words. Like it really is a struggle for them to write a completely clean song, or to not kind of make innuendos and things like that. It's really difficult for them. Like they cannot do it as much as they claim they can. They have not done it, and it's not of something that they practice. So it's just like if I were to throw you in a boxing ring, like you could probably throw a couple punches, but to win this fight takes a little bit more intention and thought. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think your communication is effective? And if so, how have you gotten to this point? And if you think you need some help or some tips or some improvement, what are you going to do make it better? Are you the type of person that when you walk up to a cashier or cash register and you just kind of like just stand there staring like an idiot? Or do you know how to talk to people and actually convey your personality? So let me know. If this was helpful, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, and I will see y'all tomorrow night for another late night at Dames. Peace.